Hello, welcome back to Luke's Economics. In today's video, we're going to be talking about skills that you learn in your undergraduate degree in economics and how those skills differ from what people think you learn in your undergraduate degree in economics. So I've recently finished my undergraduate degree, and as you may have heard in my last video, economics focuses a lot on math, and you'll also cover some programming skills, coding skills, and some theories. But a lot of economics in undergraduate degree is very math intensive, and I've been told it's even more so when you do your master's and later on your PhD or postdoctorate or whatever. So I don't know if any of you have ever had this before, but whenever you go to a family reunion or, your parents' friends come over and you'll get asked the question, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm in university. What do you study? I take medicine, business, engineering, architecture, agriculture, whatever. For me, it's economics. And then their follow-up question will usually be something like, how do you feel about the current state of the Canadian economy? Or if you're from America, or if you're from England, or if you're from Portugal, if you're from Brazil, if you're from China, whatever. And that's usually the go-to question. How do you feel about the economy? How do you feel about gas prices? Why are gas prices so high? Why are grocery prices so high? Why are housing prices so high? Do you think the housing market is going to crash? Do you think housing will be cheaper in the next few years? All of these kind of big important questions. And interestingly enough, none of these questions are really talked about in economics at the undergraduate level. And not even that, we're not really even given the specific tools to try to address these kinds of questions. And what I mean by that is in economics, we'll go over a lot of theories, which will be ceteris paribus, all else being equal, which means if all of these constraints or these things hold, then you can perfectly apply this theory. And obviously, that is not the case in real life. You won't have all these constraints that will hold that make the theory a perfect fit of the real economy. So you, as an economics student, are meant to be given skills that will allow you to be able to look at things in the economy and then be able to decide, okay, this is what I think the impact will have. But in your undergraduate degree, you don't actually really do any of that. There's never any really, there is critical thinking, but not so much thinking in terms of, okay, this is gas prices or energy prices are up. This is why they're up because of all of these factors that go into it, blah, blah, blah. We don't really do any of that stuff. We basically just stay very much in the theory aspect of things, and then after that you'll branch off into math aspect and programming aspect, coding aspect. But those kind of actual, oh, here's why the housing market is currently, housing prices are rising. It's because interest rate is high. It's because people's wages have been relatively stagnant, so it's because the government gave out money during COVID, which is pushing the prices of housing up. I'm not saying that those are the reasons. I'm just giving what I think could be potential reasons for why the housing prices are increasing. But we don't ever really talk about that in our economics classes. We never talk about the housing market or energy prices or why these kind of things are the way they are and what is impacting them. So what I am going to try to do in this channel is to do research on those things and try to use everything that I've learned in my undergraduate degree to try to properly understand and assess why the energy prices are what they are, why the housing prices are what they are, why the grocery prices are what they are, and things like that. I'm also going to try to make videos on, say, the government changes a policy. What kind of impact would this have on the economy? For example, the big talk of the times now is Donald Trump and tariffs. So if the Canada were to have a 25% increase in tariffs, which I don't actually think is what Donald Trump is trying to do, I think he wants the consequence of what the tariff will give him, not the actual tariff itself. Besides the point, what would a tariff like 20%, 25% do to the Canadian economy? Why is the interest rate important? Why does it matter when the Bank of Canada gives its interest rate? Why does it matter if a certain policy is implemented? How does it impact the economy? You'll see a lot of economics and politics are closely tied when looking in the real world, which is something also not really discussed too much in academia. We do consider the political aspect, and a lot of economic jobs end up being in the political sector doing policy work. But in terms of the closeness of political studies and economics, it's not really too closely linked. we don't need to take any political studies classes or anything like that. It's basically just all economics. So there is also a disconnect between the political and the economic sector, and often, in my personal experience, the economic sector is not the happiest with the political sector, purely because they will pass policies that are what we call basically political agenda, hence getting re-elected, as opposed to actual things that are the most efficient to improve the Canadian economy. I digress. I want to make videos, like I said, researching the Canadian economy, reviewing Gary Stevenson's stuff, statements that I find interesting or questions that people have who I know. I'm going to try to do a lot of research on those and be able to answer them. Currently, what I'm looking at is trying to look at the Canadian government spending during COVID, so from 2019 to now, and look at the Canadian government deficit from then and see how much that totals to, which is very similar to what Gary Stevenson from Gary's Economics did. So I'm going to follow a lot of things through his steps and try to incorporate it for the Canadian economy, which will be kind of part of it. Then another part, I'll try and make my own kind of videos, which will be maybe still through his lens, and I'll use his lens to try to explain it, but it will be more so on my experience as opposed to literally just copying what he does and then applying it to the Canadian economy, or taking inspiration from that. Sounds way nicer. I believe the next video that I'll make will be on how to know if economics theory is good for you. And after that, I'll start going into more of the serious bulk, trying to hopefully use my research to actually be able to make videos that I believe will be properly educational and not so much just about my background and nonsense. Hopefully my personal story will be less involved and it'll be more a lot of like, here's what I found from the analysis, here's what it means to me, this is why I think that, this is what I think you should do, and I'll try to explain it in very, very, very simple terms, because a lot of the times when you see economic stuff, as I've been doing my research, it's very hard to know what's real and what's not, and even like the stuff that is real, like from the Bank of Canada, a lot of it, they have very complex vocabulary that even I sometimes have to go back and consult my notes to see what they're actually trying to get at. And I am meant to know these things as an economics undergrad, and sometimes I don't, and I have to refresh myself. The video was a bit longer than I wanted to do. Hopefully that explains a bit about how an economics degree differs from what people actually think it is. As I said, next video should be me talking about how to know if economics is for you, and also at the end of that video, I'll probably further do another kind of recap as what you can expect for videos in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck.